All right, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. But let's get right into it. This is actually how I escaped wokeness. I became a woke zombie for a while, and it was very much so due to college, just like every other story you hear. I'm very grateful to be out of that cult. And this is kind of my journey into how I got into that and how I kind of got out, and how you can also test to see if you're in the cult of wokeness. Because the reason I say cult is to denote that it is bad for you. Like, it is bad for your health, your relationships, for your future, your country, for your neighborhood, for your cat, your dog, the spider in the corner, for everyone. I don't know how to say this, so I want to describe what it feels like if someone doesn't really understand it. I know there are people who they've just been like anti-woke from the beginning. I don't know how someone can actually be anti-woke from like the beginning, because that's kind of, I hate to use the word, that's kind of problematic. Like, you were not woke at any point in time. So hopefully everyone watching this at a point kind of had a drip of like wokeness, because I think people go into it with good intentions. And that's the whole trick about it, is the well-meaning folks who get sucked into this thing that has so much attached to it in a very Trojan horse-like fashion. So I hope that there are some people who were like, I mean well, I do want to end racism, or I didn't like what I saw with the George Floyd thing, so I do want to do a little bit of work to make sure that I'm fighting against any systemic oppression that exists and that sort of thing. This video and these videos aren't to appease those types of people. Like, I don't think that's good. With that said, there's a different thing going on right now. Our current mode of like social justice, there's something amiss about it. And I'm here to say, like, I fell for that wave for a little bit, but it doesn't yield the sort of liberation that you would think it would yield. Now, a little bit of background about myself. I spent my high school years in South Africa, and during the time in South Africa, I learned a lot about Nelson Mandela. I was in school in South Africa through the late 2000s. And it was still healing. So there was a lot of discussion about race. They had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But not only that, they just adopted a framework that aids forgiveness. And people think I make this stuff up. Literally, Desmond Tutu has written 2 books, as far as I know, 2 books on forgiveness. Desmond Tutu was out there protesting, like getting arrested, getting tear gassed. His daughter and his wife were strip searched in a very disrespectful manner by the apartheid police force. Archbishop Desmond Tutu wasn't allowed to vote, even though he was a notable, respected archbishop. Just the fact that he experienced the worst form of racism and fought against it, and his ultimate thesis coming out of that was, we need to forgive, and that actually kept the nation from becoming a terror war zone, bloodbath, dystopia, is something to take note of. And that's what we learned a lot about during high school. So that was embedded in me from the beginning. Like, from the time I kind of started learning about Nelson Mandela to the time that I was in college, I began to, things were fine. BLM really wasn't a thing at the time. Life was good. To me, America was one of the friendliest countries I've ever been to. But then college was like, it taught critical theory, it taught critical race theory. When it came to like sociology and stuff like that, it was dark. The trouble is when you learn from that lens, and that's really kind of what some classes took. It wasn't like, oh, this is a theory, or this is a school of thought. It was, this is how you have to look at life. Like, these are the tools, and that's it. Like, this is actually what reality is. I had that framework kind of begin to get embedded in me, but pay attention to the feeling. I didn't feel good about it. Like, I remember the one day it was raining outside, it was almost Halloween, I think it was like 2014, and we were learning about symbolism. We're learning about Antonio Gramsci, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and the hegemony. And I just felt dark. Like, I literally felt like my heart was opening, and like darkness was coming inside. From that moment, it was dark. As I adopted that lens through college, like my outlook of the world was dark and hopeless. Little did I know my outlook of the world would then come back to affect my look and the way I saw myself, who I was, the value that I brought, how people saw me, all just deteriorated because it was like I had to take all these factors into consideration. I came out of college with that worldview. I came out of college thinking like, as a Black woman, opportunities for me are so much less likely to happen or be given because of my Blackness, that I was very much so hyper aware of microaggressions. I was very aware of just like the way the world is, the way you're taught that the world is. So it's like everything's working against you. Literally, like you walk out of the door and like everyone is conspiring against you. So whereas from the beginning, I would just kind of walk down the street and say hi to people. If they didn't say hi back, I was like, whatever. It was like every look that I got was racist. It was just racist, and it was also racist sexist. Like it was more than just one thing. It was like everything you are is everything someone else hates. Like literally walk down to the store and I'll not pay attention to all the people who walked by me and who were just normal. I would walk by like say 10 people, and if one person like gave me a bad look or you know, they didn't move out of the way, like they're walking and then like, you know, it's like, oh, what do you do? And they just keep going. I interpreted that as like it's a microaggression, like that is an act of racism. So regardless of all the other interactions, I was fine. That one thing would ruin my day. Like I remember I felt like I would have a dagger in my heart. But it wasn't just that. See, that's just going to the store. Now you have to go through the whole day. And if you ever get anything of someone treating you like crap, or if you ever get someone who like opens the door, right, for maybe their family, and then like you're a far way off and they don't open the door for you, like actions like that, I would interpret all of that as microaggressions against me. So that would make me so fragile that by the end of the day, I'm filled with so much darkness, I'm filled with so much anxiety, I'm filled with so much stress that I can't even like do my normal like work. Like I can't live my life like that, right? Like I can't live and actually work and give 100% of the task because I'm kind of under stress and duress. So yeah, that's what life was like. Like honestly, like that's what life was like when you are hyper aware of all these kind of critical theory notions and ideas, especially like the neo-Marxism stuff. It's like I don't really know what to do with this energy except protest. I remember I was super like bothered about like no justice, no peace in LA. Like I wanted to do whatever I could to help. 2016, y'all, like 2016, I was out. Like I was out when I heard like Trump was running and like, you know, CNN was saying everything that was wrong with Trump. I literally couldn't function. I couldn't pay attention in school. And when Trump got elected, like I literally couldn't hand in assignments that quarter. Like I had to ask for extensions for my time limit because I literally couldn't focus. I was like sick. I was literally sick. I was depressed. I was stressed. I remember I would cry. I would spend my entire night, almost like throughout the night, trying to block Ben Shapiro's account, like trying to get it reported. I would like report it to Twitter, like, can you please suspend Ben Shapiro? Why is he still on here? I remember that so vividly. And this lady called Ann Coulter, I think, I don't remember. I don't even know who she is. I don't know what she does, but I was like, Anne has to be removed. She's killing me. And that was my life. Like literally that was my existence every day. It wasn't until it got too much. It literally wasn't until like it got too much that I couldn't function that I was like, I have to do something about it. It's like I have all these knives of like people not opening doors for me, people not looking at me well, people not saying the thing that they should have said, people saying the wrong thing. I mean, just like getting looks was enough to trigger me for the day. And I was at a point where I was literally like, I'm a Christian, and I just had to be like, Lord, what do I do with this? Like I feel horrible. I'm not at peace. Like I am not at peace. And he was literally like, you have to forgive them. My word is very clear about offense. Don't be offended. The Bible literally is like, don't be offended. And that doesn't mean that no one should offend you. That just means that if someone offends you, don't take that offense to heart. So I remember just sitting down with I think I had like a notebook or a journal, and I just started writing. Like I just started writing all the names and everything anyone had ever done, because I remembered it all. Like I remembered everything every white person had ever done, like a car ride, anything where they said anything. I held all of that here, guys. And it was too much to the point I just had to write it. And I remember just like that was the beginning of feeling peace, writing it down. So this is, if you're trying to find out how to have peace, hopefully somehow this video is giving that to you. Just begin to write down everything, and don't hold off race. Don't think like, oh, race is this untouchable field, like we're not gonna go there. No, if someone has offended you because of a racist act, write it down. And I remember writing it down and then just being like, okay, I let this go. Like I let this go. I give it to you, God. Like I forgive them. Like I forgive them for all the things that they did. These are people that I actually still have relationships with today. They probably don't know how much hate and how much like anger I had towards them for the things that they didn't even know they were doing. But in the moment of forgiveness, and this was a journey. This wasn't just like one journal night. This was like I had to do it over and over again. And if something resurfaced, I would be like, okay, I can't hold on to that. Like I want to hold the grudge, but I'm like, this is gonna break me apart. And I just journal it down. I just write it down. I write down what went wrong, and I'd say like, you know what? This person could have had a bad day, and that is just as much as a possibility as it would have been that it was a racist act. Like I had to be open to those possibilities, otherwise I'd never let go of the grudge. And so I just did this over and over again, and it took about a year. Honestly, guys, like it took a year to kind of go through all those incidents and journal it out and be like, you know what, I can't hold on to this. This is another one that I'm trying to keep forever and hold on to it for fuel, for fire. But ultimately, guys, when I tell you now, I had so much peace, you guys, and I still have so much peace. And it actually isn't just about those incidents and like forgetting them. I remember them vividly, but there's no pain attached to them. And I cannot tell you, I've never had this amount of control in my life emotionally, and in terms of like my psyche. Like I feel so much peace from morning to sundown. So through that process of forgiveness, it's much more harder for me to take offense now, because I had to reject that whole mode of thinking. And I'm like, yo, I don't even want to play your woke game. That alone is adding such a burden to my life that I haven't been able to find or correlate in actual reality. Like it is a burden that is optional because it doesn't actually exist in real life. And since I let that go, I can sleep a full night's sleep and not toss and turn. I can look at Ben Shapiro and be like, yo, live your life. I don't really care. I can be like, I'm going to paint right now. Like I literally have a painting right here. I can paint when I want. I am always at peace 24/7, yo. Like this is why I really want my Black brothers and sisters to consider forgiveness. And then maybe in your own time you can forgive, because it's like you're being robbed of your own peace. And guess what? You're the only life you're gonna live. You're not gonna like live another life. Like the guarantee of that is never there. Right now, your soul, your existence, your consciousness, it's only you. You're the only body you're gonna embody on this earth at this time. So ultimately, because of this, I couldn't hold on to wokeness anymore. Like wokeness was literally crippling me, literally crippling me. I couldn't see the gain in it in any way whatsoever. There was just no gain in being woke. And my lived experience can change, but then my lived experience gets challenged because it doesn't fit the narrative. There's just so many things I was like, this isn't worth it. I'm just gonna have my own life, and I'm gonna live my own life. I'm gonna be my own person. Like, I was done with it, and I'm done with it. Now I'm free. Like, I am so free. You're robbing yourself of the best experience of your life, which is just being free deep down in your soul. That's all I have to say. That is how I escaped the cult of wokeness. If you like this video, leave a comment below. When did you wake up? And when did you leave the cult of wokeness? You can still care about the widow, the orphan, the poor. You can do that. without wokeness. I love you, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.